So go ahead. I'm sorry. Eva, did you say to start the presentation?
Tim is the MC. He is the driver. He's the man in charge.
And we are live.
You know, and get educated and get the light from others.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 1 Million Cups Chico chapter. My name is Tim Sharkey, and I am operations manager here at Chico Start. I'm one of the organizers, and let's just start off with thanking the organizers today. We have Miss Wendy Porter, live from Butte Colleges. Thank you, Wendy. We have Eva Shepard with Chico Start. I didn't know which title to put on there for you. And we have Heather Oogie from the Chico Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much for showing up. And our sponsor, Mr. Ken Hastings, who helps us with our video and audio when we are live out in the field. He does all our audio recording and puts it together in a way that is awesome, because I don't have the time to do all those little edits and inserts. So we are just putting straight Zoom videos up with maybe a title sheet. So I really appreciate your time, Ken, very much. So 1 Million Cups, what is 1 Million Cups? It's a weekly platform put on across the United States with over 150 different chapters getting together right now to help share their community's ideas and stories. Your crazy neighbor Bob, your other crazy Aunt Louise, whoever you just met, you said, hey, you know what, you have got to get on this page, you have awesome ideas. So this is where you bring them. You grab them by the hand, you say, here's a platform, introduce them to one of us, and we will help you with your story, your pitch, your concept, and we'll give you 6 minutes to talk about it in front of the community and peers. That'll give you better feedback and understanding with your idea before you get in front of banks or investors or the community or the city council. So you have a clear, concise story. You have some questions that are answered, and you get outside questions that you wouldn't normally get from your neighbors and friends, because they know you always have a great idea and they're just going to tell you it's the greatest thing since chocolate chip cookie. So that's why we're here. We're the front door to the entrepreneurial ecosystem, not only here in Chico, but for Northern California, because we're the furthest chapter right now that's going on. So it's not only for the Chico area, it's for entire Northern California. And once you practice here, there are, like I said, 150 other different chapters. So you can start just poking all over the map and sharing this idea, not only here in Chico, because Chico in Northern California does have a unique view on the world and our lifestyle and the way we view at things. So taking a concept that works here and sharing it in Colorado or Arizona or Fargo or Syracuse, New York, or down in Florida, those are just totally different views and different input that you're going to get about your idea, and maybe a view you never saw or an opportunity you've never seen. So I encourage everyone to share their stories, not only here, but across the United States, Ms. Kristy, because you have a message that can go far and help a lot of people. So we do this, and it's called 1 Million Cups because it's the collective cups of coffee that we all drink in the morning getting ready to go to work, thinking about that idea instead of staring at your screen, the meetings you have, picking up the kids after school, after work, working on your ideas. So I know I've already contributed on number 3 today. As you can tell, I am just on fire. So that's what it's about, the collective community for the entrepreneurial area, and we are the front door to help the small businesses thrive across the United States, especially now with our new work mode being remote. I have to say all our participation has actually increased with going remote. That way people can just stay where they are, log in, or actually apply for different areas and do it, not having to spend the time going somewhere, the gas. So I think this is actually going to help create a lot more business opportunities in the long run, maybe in a whole different sector you weren't thinking about, but I have to say thank you for the Kaufman Foundation and these opportunities that we have. So I'd like to present today's awesome presenter. We have Kristy Lively, and she's going to present Empower Me Art. And this is a follow-up from last year, a year and a half ago.
2 years
So we're
ago,
gonna find
yeah.
out, it's been a while. We're going to find out what's going on, what's new, and what you're expected to come up in the future. So Kristy, you have the floor, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Timothy, for this, for that fantastic introduction, and thank you so much, 1 Million Cups, for having me back. As you can see, hopefully my screen is being shared here, but I am the founder of Empower Me Art. Empower Me Art is a fiscally sponsored nonprofit organization that is devoted to survivor art and the entrepreneurial spirits of girls and survivors of sex trafficking.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Oh, Tim, you got it. I just wanted to have Tim mute his microphone because there was an echo.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Our work started in 2015. We found that there was a missing gap in services in regards to the CSEC community. And when I say CSEC, commercially sexually exploited children community. And so we started every year by having artwork created by survivors or children who experience exploitation, sharing their artwork with the community by hosting an exhibition, and selling that artwork, and then placing those proceeds directly into the pockets of those young women or survivors for their own entrepreneurial endeavors. And so that's how we got started. We found that that particular platform was very powerful as far as engaging the community and empowering the individuals that we were working with. And so we decided to continue those exhibitions, and we hold exhibitions at least once a year. We work with a variety of professionals as well as public and private stakeholders. And we do this because we think it's really important to engage the community, not only in a conversation on how to combat commercially sexually exploited children or sex trafficking, but also in ways and approaches to empowering those individuals and immersing them into other entrepreneurial opportunities. So one of the examples is currently working with Dr. Pamela Luters. She has been a specialist in natural disaster trauma, which we are aware of the Camp Fire, which impacted our community here in Butte County in 2018. And so we've been working over the last 2 years with other artists and with Dr. Luters in working with the survivor community here, as well as still educating the community and other local businesses and entrepreneurs on how to keep a watchful eye out for some of those exploitation opportunities that might exist or existing currently in our community. There are other ways that we have tried to find other approaches in reaching out to survivors here currently within the pandemic era that has impacted us all. We have a wide variety of talented individuals that we work with. Currently, right now, we are doing a face cloth giveaway to any survivors here in our community or across the nation. And so currently that has been our way of working, or another approach of working with the survivor community, and as well as expanding our reach while we are all cautious of what's happening in the public's eye. How do we stay accountable as an organization and continue building our capacity, or doing our capacity building? We ensure that we are still working and reaching out to our at-risk demographic, which are girls who are between the ages of 12 and 16 years old. And that program is through our She Design the Life She Loves program, which we were hosting currently at the Chico Women's Club until the pandemic started. And we also do that by offering series of workshops, either personally by reaching out to CSEC organizations or organizations that work with that demographic, either virtually, now virtually, but in the past, actually going to that organization or to that agency and doing a series of workshops with those individuals. Let's see here. We are definitely audacious in our goals, risks, and engagement. We do know that empowering girls will change the national and international landscape of awareness and services for girls and survivors of sex trafficking. And so we continue on that mission. Currently, 60 to 70% of our survivors do return to their exploiters, and that's why it's really important for us to continue this work, as well as continue the engagement with the survivors that we have worked with over the last 6 years. Woohoo! And we do realize that there still is an absence of entrepreneurial programs solely for sex trafficking victims. And so we are always looking to expand opportunities and immersion programs, whether it's in the public or whether it's in the private sector for the clients that we work with. And yes, how do we stay accountable? We make sure that we create a safe, fun, and creative space for profitable artwork. We also make sure that we are featuring and selling that artwork in the community once we have a substantial amount of pieces that we can provide or sell to the community. And we also make sure that we engage with our clients on a regular basis. And now that is virtually within this pandemic crisis. And there are other opportunities. I know that I have 6 more seconds, but the other way that we stay engaged in our community and working with sex trafficking victims and just within our community, currently we are offering learning opportunities virtually by doing demonstrations, either multimedia projects or STEM projects here in the community. And you can reach out to us via our website. And yeah, we are continually looking for ways to expand our work as well as our partnerships within the community, and are open to many different innovative ideas and approaches that you may have, as well as 1 Million Cups and then the clients that we work with. Thank you.
Unmute there.
I forgot to unmute it while I was clapping.
Well, yeah, what is the hand of one hand clapping?
Yay.
All right, that was awesome. You flowed with that. So
Yeah, totally.
let's do our exit and re-entry so we can do our Q&A.
Okay.
And we'll see everyone back here in 30 seconds.
Okay.
Make like a tree and leave. That's what I'm going to leave.
Okay.
We're back.
All right.
So I am open to any questions and
Okay, so Kristy, so you've been driving this initiative for 6 years, right?
yes.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
It seems to be getting more and more light shed on the subject. In fact, I just saw a post yesterday on LinkedIn about a workshop that was happening in person in Salt Lake City, I believe, and how they were trying to bring awareness to this topic. So I thought that was pretty. I was trying to look it up while we were listening so I could speak to it, but I can't find it at the moment. But I would love to know more about I would love for you to expand a little bit on your workshops.
Sure. So we have a few different workshops. So the workshops that I host specifically with survivors of sex trafficking or with the agencies that work with communities that have been exploited are expressive art workshops. Generally, I try to focus on workshops that are going to be empowerment, but also gives an opportunity for that individual to really do the self-discovery, because art is really magical in that way, where there's not always that verbal dialogue with someone, but it is a verbal or an internal dialogue with yourself. And so that's generally, and I try and incorporate some type of new technology or a new approach. And I also really try to demonstrate that something around them that they can have easy access to can also become a piece of art. Because that's also, I think, really important for the demographic that I work with. It's not always going out and buying $100 worth of art supplies or materials. It's things that you can find within your reach, and utilizing your creativity, and that creativity can be valued by the community around you. And not only be valued, but something that you create with your hands can then be purchased, and then you're actually getting the monetary value so that you're able to empower yourself with that. So that's the type of expressive art workshops that I actually do with survivors. Far as within the private sector and working with corporations like New York Life and other private businesses, even here in town, is offering a CSEC 101 workshop. And so that's when I go down, that's when I show up and I talk about what does it mean to be a commercially sexually exploited child? How, as a business or as a corporation, can you do the seed stone or the milestone steps to keep a watchful eye? Or even just educate your employees and your staff on being aware of what it means to really combat early age entry into exploitation, because it really just impacts us all. It's across the board. It's a spectrum of
I hear there's such a thing as I don't know what the right words are, but I hear there's such a thing as sex, what's the right word? Sexploitation tourism.
Yes. So
that's something that evidently is rampant here in the United States. Isn't that disgusting, folks? Hope you've had your breakfast.
Yes, it is. It is rampant. Part of our mission is also we're working on a project. I mean, 2020 was going to be an amazing year for us. It still is an amazing year, but we were planning on launching 7 cities, 7 sisters, and that's where we wanted to go into the 7 cities that are the major sex trafficking hubs here in the United States, and that's where that tourism happens. Traffickers and exploiters know exactly which metropolitan cities to bring the most exploited, or where some of the most exploited demographics and communities in our children are. And so that tourism is happening all around us. Unfortunately, Chico also is definitely a part of that kind of trafficking, I would say, roadmap, just because Chico really lies in between the upper northern California, as far as where Oregon and a lot of also our girls, not just girls, but are exploited, are being exploited and trafficked to. And then we're right between Sacramento and Stockton also, which is that San Joaquin corridor, which is heading into Los Angeles. So Chico is also a very unique place within that kind of sex trafficking tourism. And, having one thing that I'm really proud of about Empower Me Art is really having that street credit and being able to still be in touch with a lot of the individuals who are, in that transient stage that have conversations with me and with us to kind of give us more, information on what's happening here in our community.
Wow. So one of the things I'm doing at my online business that I have done, before I actually got the business started, and I may do in the future. My current focus is blogging, which probably are doing that, but print on demand stuff. So if you got artwork, you can go to like Merch by Amazon, Printify, Printful, Etsy, Redbubble, what's the other one? Teespring, and the Zazzle, and there's a million of these things where you can sell like shower curtains, mostly T-shirts, to be honest, but coffee mugs. You can put these designs for sale, and that's something that can be done, using stuff like Photoshop or you don't have to have a lot of art supplies necessarily for that. Illustrator. So I don't know, have you looked into anything like that? Because that's face masks. You can do the custom face masks. You can do print on demand on those. So I know Printful's doing that.
We definitely have revisited that. I have a few different survivors who have submitted their artwork and has given us permission to utilize that artwork in a way that would bring them passive income, because that is also part of why we're doing the work. We don't want survivors to ever feel a need that they, because of data and statistics, of having to return that recidivism of returning back to their exploiters. Right now, what is kind of happening for us here in Empower Me Art is, a lot of this, the survivors that I am working with that would like to share their artwork, they really are looking for not just like, the Redbubble and things of those platforms, but actually having their artwork on a large scale. So we've tried to find branding opportunities with, New York Life Foundation. We've branding opportunities with some of the even, what are those the vaping pins, so that their artwork can be on there, because then the proceeds, because we want to kind of reach out to the masses, right? So yeah, we have definitely revisited that, and we've done cards in the past. T-shirts is on our list of things to do, and also even just murals. I mean, even just large scale pieces is kind of some of the things that our survivors and artists are really interested in doing, for sure, as far as bringing that exposure, but also, honoring that entrepreneurial spirit. Yeah.
So Kristy,
thank you, Ken.
What local partners are you working with now, or organizations are your strategic partners?
Right now, locally, just here in Chico, we are working with Seed of Love, and we have been working with, I apologize, I'm trying to think, a lot of the different cafes. We've also been working with Monka. So we did a fantastic exhibition last year, which was very well received, and there was just so much information that was exchanged during that exhibition. Definitely the Chico Women's Club before the pandemic. And then also Seroptimus, which a lot of these connections were made because of the 1 million cups that we did 2.5 years ago. Thank you so much, Wendy, and thank you so much, 1 million cups. So right now, I would say those are the kind of the group of local organizations that we're working with. Post Campfire, we reached out to Oroville, we reached out to Paradise. We worked with a lot of the teachers and schools, or at least Magalia, Pine Ridge School, that was out there, and that principal, and some of the community members out there as far as continuing our expressive art workshops.
I was just thinking, kind of going to Kent's point a little bit in a different way. We've thrown out ideas, right?
No,
ideas. I don't know if we have a local t-shirt manufacturer, Fifth Sun.
Oh, Fifth Sun.
I don't know if that would be a potential partnership as far as like t-shirt art, what they do.
That's an excellent idea.
I like that.
Humans who are very much about supporting nonprofits and
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we did connect Kristy with Design by Humans.
We did, yes.
And that business now has been joined with Fifth Sun.
Right.
Okay.
But it's all the same, kind of ownership and all of that. And hey, while I'm talking, I wanted to share with you guys a piece of art that Kristy gave me.
Oh, yay! You still have it.
I don't know if you can see it.
That's our bee human. That's our bee human.
It's on a piece of wood and it's like lacquered. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, you're so sweet. Don't you
Very
know?
nice.
And I was wondering if you could share with us a little bit more about your business model and your funding and how that all works.
Sure. So right now, currently, our business model is still the same, offering expressive art workshops to agencies that work with the exploited, also offering educational workshops to businesses and corporations or the private sector, so that we can educate them on how to combat early age exploitation and how to offer opportunities to survivors. And I'm sorry, you had mentioned one more thing, Wendy. I apologize. I'm getting on the.
Yeah, so how?
Oh, and the funding.
Yeah, the funding. So we're kind of looking, you know, how much of your money is coming in that's for your workshops and your services and your products versus maybe grant funding or donations?
Okay, so our donations still, I would say, is very low on the totem pole of where we're getting our support. Far as grant funding, that has been amazing. Again, it has been the benefit of being able to share what we do here in the community to the 1 Million Cups community 2.5 years ago, and being introduced to the North Valley Community Foundation and to Seroptimus International, which over the last year we were able to get over $30,000 worth of funding, which allowed us to reach out, thank you, in the post campfire era, being able to reach out to those survivors. And I would say within that $30,000, I would say about 23 of that really went to all the different logistics of getting the materials, storing the art supplies, paying, you know, facilitation of the art instructors who collaborated with us. One of those, Rocky, who, you know, was a part of our Butte Artists for Butte Strong Families project. And, you know, a small portion of that for sure is helping me survive, as, you know, I have other projects, but then also Empower Me Art, you know, is contributes somewhat to my quality of life as far as being the executive director. And I'm trying to think of any other funding opportunities. I mean, Seroptimus, they were able to support us in our She Loves Life program, which we were able to expand not only in Chico, but we were able to expand it all the way to Stockton, to the San Joaquin County. And so that was really super amazing, being able to host those workshops with fathers and families of San Joaquin County. Also, New York Life Foundation, they gifted us a grant. I think it was around $2,000. And so that also allowed us to continue traveling between the Bay Area and even hosting even more CSEC educational workshops with, like, the Boys and Girls Club of Oakland, and working with their staff and directors on how to identify and how to keep an eye out on you know, whether their demographic and their clients were experiencing exploitation and how to approach that.
I was going to ask you about the North Valley Community Foundation. I know there's a few funds underneath the COVID-19 funds, and one of those is the Slater and Son, their local construction company here and a partner of the chamber. I know there's still money in that fund. It might be something to investigate. It's supporting, you know, local organizations and business together. But I know there's still money in that fund. So that might be something to take a look at.
I will. Thank you so very much. Yeah. Right now, you know, this is a really interesting time, because as we're doing this, you know, looking for more innovative ways to do our capacity building, staying in touch with our community, still engaging with community partners, you know, there's just this awareness of how is it impacting, or how it might be, how can I say this, enabling further exploitation and that exposure to the most vulnerable. So, you know, I've been having this conversation with myself and with, you know, Dr. Luters, just seeing how this kind of is all unraveling for us and how we can still maintain the security and the anonymity of our clients, as well as still giving them these opportunities for exposing their artistic or their creative endeavors. And so I've just been really, really careful, and also just really want to be strategic in the funding that I go after, just because you know, there's just so there, and I was sharing this with Tim, there's like, you know, thank goodness there's not a limitation in funding, but anything that I go after as far as funding, I have to be absolutely passionate about, and I want to know exactly how I'm going to be utilizing that funding so that it's just right on board. So I will look into that, and you know, funding is always something that we're looking for. It's just, you know, making sure it's a right fit for us and it's a right fit for our demographic.
Sure.
Yeah.
I keep hitting the wrong button. Actually, if we have time, I do have another question about what do you think the hardest part is when you started talking about people going back to their exploiters?
Mm-hmm.
The thing came to mind for me was Stockholm syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but then the other thing you mentioned about being financially dependent, right? And I know that part of what you're trying to do is help break that cycle. I mean, that's very clear, right?
Yeah.
But how do we stop it to begin with? Because that's a symptom, or excuse me, that is one of the, I'm not saying you have the answers, but this is like, it comes to mind for me, right? It's like, if they are financially dependent, that is now a symptom of the initial problem of kind of controlling that person and using their body as a commodity, right? Right. And so I'm thinking about, okay, so I'm trying to look backwards, because normally how I look at things. So I'm trying to look back, how do you go back and keep those steps from happening? And again, I don't pretend to have any answers. It's just like, but I would love to hear like what you think could be applied to help in that endeavor.
Yeah, so that's a really big question, and it's like, you know, that umbrella, right? So just give you my first thoughts to mine.
Yeah.
So this is my personal way that I would attack this. One, there needs to be a very open conversation on a regular basis within our PTA meetings, whether it's virtually or in person, in our churches, in our most intimate community dialogues with our family members about what it means when there is an exploitation of children and what traffickers and exploiters look like. There is an idea that a certain type of profile, not so much so more today, because there is, you know, the awareness that's coming out, but there still is a profile that a lot of people have in their mind and their subconscious of what an exploiter looks like. And the truth of that is exploiters look like you and me every single day. And it's grandmothers, it is single moms, it is uncles, it's individuals that have access. I did this in another presentation, but it's individuals that have a great deal of passive income. It's individuals that have access to vulnerable populations. There's also individuals who experience a social autonomy because people are not looking at them. And so I think that that's the first step that we must have in order to, like, you know, kind of head backwards and trying to combat this, I think it's a pandemic, you know, the trafficking of our children. And so I think that that's the first stage. The second stage is that there are a lot of organizations that work with this population, and bless their soul because they're doing, you know, amazing work. They require, when an individual says that they want to exit their exploitation, or when they're approached or they're working with an agency, just in my personal experience, and the reason why I started Empower Me Art, is there's still a lot that is required of them when they are exploring those avenues of exiting their exploitation or leaving their trafficker. And in my personal opinion, working with the survivors that I've worked with, I think the first thing that we need to do when it comes to survivors, and then there's that law enforcement side, right? But the first thing that we need to do with survivors is give them an open canvas of just respite. So there needs to be a place where survivors or those who are feeling exploited can go and literally lay down for 3 months if they need to, and rest their body and rest their soul. They don't need to be required, in my personal opinion, I don't want them to require them to do job applications, to have to meet with, you know, there's no have tos. What I want to do is provide a plethora of resources to them. But if they need to lay in bed for 3 months and just kind of get their mind right, I want to provide a space for them, and I want to provide a space for survivors or individuals who are thinking about leaving their exploitation. I think that that would be the first step, because I think there is this expectation that in order for them to leave their exploitation or get them out of their exploitation, we need to keep them busy, and we need to, you know, get them on this path, and maybe they need to do school, and maybe they need a job. But the truth of the matter is, if you've been raped and exploited for the last year, the last thing you want to do is anything except get grounded in your body. And so I feel like there needs to be a social contract or a social construct of really dealing with individuals who have been harmed in that way. And having a different approach, or a different approach to how we're going to be bringing respite and bringing this type of long-term recovery process to our most vulnerable communities. On the law enforcement side, I think that we still need to educate a lot of our police officers and
on what to look for,
community, what to look for. Also, how to approach someone who is on the street. You might think that they are, have been exploited, or, just, there's just so many different ramifications in the way that we are approaching our most vulnerable on the streets, or whether they're arrested, or whether they're approached. There just needs to be a different dialogue. And I think, honestly, in this dialogue about how, law enforcement is engaging the community, a more human service approach to our survivors. So I would say those are kind of the three things that I would love to see that could kind of be proactive to that that recidivism of our survivors, of actually returning to their exploiters.
That makes sense. On the last, I don't want to hog this, so on the last point, ask or make an observation. I don't know that I want to ask. It's like every time, this may not be related, but for some reason in my mind, you know how like social assumptions can be made, right? And social bias, right? Every time I see a new massage parlor just pop up out of nowhere, I'll point to my husband and go, well, there's another area that somebody's being trafficked, like slave labor, right? And I'm like, why are they allowed to just pop up anywhere? Like, how does that happen?
Well, I'm going to give you, so I'm going to give you two.
Is that off topic?
No, it's not off topic. We try at Empower Me Art, try to focus on individuals who are American-born, American children who are being exploited within the sex trafficking arena. But of course, within that sex trafficking, you have the human trafficking and labor trafficking and all these different arenas that really are composited in one, honestly. And so when you're talking about businesses that pop up, the first thing that comes to mind is that if the bottom of the stream is dirty, the top of the stream is just as dirty. So that means that on the local level, at walking into that business door, if they are existing and there's some level of exploitation that's happening, it's so hard to say this, but there is some level of awareness. In my personal belief, the top of the stream is just as dirty. You know, it really does start from the top. And so we know where the bad apples are. That just gets into uncomfortable and dangerous territory, and not everybody's willing to approach that. So that's kind of like my first kind of philosophy on that. And then the second part of that is it just takes you and I going into those massage, you know, not by yourself, but it does take kind of a personal conviction to walk into those businesses, see what's going on, being observant, how, you know, what's happening. I have driven by, I have sat in parking lots. I have taken down license plates if I think that something is
nefarious.
Yeah, nefarious. And then I've also asked friends, even male friends, to go in there and
check it out
and see what's going on. And so I think that that's really the best way for us to be just ambassadors of our community. Right. And to call on one another to do the due diligence of checking out some of these, you know, places, far as, you know, massage businesses, massage centers.
Yeah.
And things of that nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down like that. I hear.
Yeah. Don't do it by yourself.
No.
Okay, it takes a community. Yeah, so I want you to be safe, because you know, when I first started this work, I was like, why can't we just walk up to these, you know, young women and young men and say, hey, we want to get you out of you're out of exploitation, leave now. And then the other side to that, when I have these conversations with survivors who, because I'm a survivor informed.
Right.
So when I have these individual conversations with survivors who have actually walked that walk and are out of their exploitation, it's like, what is on the other side of that, Kristy? Do you have a place for them right now?
Right.
You know, what resources do you have for them right now? So that is also the other side of that conversation that I think is going to take a lot more work on a law enforcement side, on the human services side, on a community side. And
I have to say thank you so much, Kristy, because I have to jump to another webinar. But if you guys want to stay on talking, I'll just back out and you guys can talk for a little while longer if you like.
Thank you, Tim.
I think Linda had a question.
Yes. Hi, Kristy. I'm Linda.
Hi, Linda.
I really appreciate the work you're doing.
Yeah.
Is there, when you have your workshops and then you sell the art to communities, do you ever have any that doesn't sell? And if you do, is there access to look at it and potentially buy it?
Yes. So I definitely, when I don't sell the artwork, I definitely hold on to it if the artist gives me permission. Sometimes they would like it returned back to them if it's not sold. And basically by just reaching out to me through our website, which is www.empowermeart.org. If you're interested in buying a piece of artwork, you're welcome just to reach out and I will send you a catalog of the artwork that is available for sale.
Wonderful. Yeah, I very much am interested.
Hey, Kristy, maybe send it to us anyway, and then we'll share it. I'll share it in my next month's newsletter.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do that.
All right, thank you. That's interesting.
Thank you so much for bringing awareness to this.
Yeah.
You're so welcome.
Thank you, Wendy, for making sure she came back to us, because I didn't get to see you the first time. I didn't in the area, but thank you so much.
I think you had brought some of the survivors with you.
Oh, wow.
All right. You had some survivors with you showing their artwork, or were you showing a video of them?
At our first 1 million cups, I actually brought some of the artwork that they had created.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I try and keep my survivors, keep
anonymous.
them, anonymous. There we go. I'm like, can't even think of the word right now, but yeah. But the artwork is always available and is constantly being created. Thank you, Kent. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you again.
All right, everyone. Thank you for your time. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for all your awesome questions and review. Kristy, please go out and prosper and try to help as many people as you can.
We will continue.
So everyone
Thank
go
you so
out
much.
and be awesome today.
Okay.
And we'll see you next week, and bring someone with you.
Okay.
Thank you
Oh,
guys.
don't forget to send me the link to the next, the Google thing, whatever it is.
I put it in the chat.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it, man.
It was in the first one, but I'll send it to you real quick.
All right. Oh, I see. So, yeah, because then we left and came back.